Welcome back to Mike's Archery, and today we are taking a look at the all-new 2025 lineup from Darton Archery, and they have made some major advancements and changes for this new year. Now we have got the new Sequel 35 ST Squared, and that's going to be the bow we're looking at in this video. However, all these features are being carried backwards to that Sequel 33 as well as the Sequel 31. So as we talk about these new changes, new features, just know that the new 2025 models are going to cross over to those shorter models. Now as we look at the speed rating on the new Sequel 35, we got it coming in at 331 feet per second, and with those speed mods that they're including, you're going to get 336. Now the axle to axle on this bow is 35 1/8, giving it an overall cam to cam length of 40 1/4 inches. The brace height on this bow is coming in at 6.3 inches, and then the advertised weight is coming in at 4.75 pounds. Now we threw it on the scale and we got an actual weight out of the box at 5.2 pounds. Now as you take off the short stubby stabilizer and strip this bow down, you get it down to 5 pounds even, coming in just a hair over what the advertised weight is. Now the draw length adjustment on this new cam system is going to go from 26 on the bottom end out to 31 1/2, and that's what we like to see in these longer axle to axle bows. Typically you want a longer draw length because it does fit those bigger guys out there a little better. So going all the way to 31 1/2 is going to pick up some of you long arm guys. Now the draw weight options coming in on this bow are going to be 50, 60, and 70, and then the let off adjustment is going to be 80 and 85 on these new cams. Now as we look at the new features on this cam system, the new BBS cam system has got several changes that make this bow different for this year. Now first of all, they've laser engraved everything, so you've got real nice marks there that you can easily read, easily see as you're making adjustments on it, which for us at the shop is a big deal. Just helps us get things set right without having to dig in there and really focus as to what we're looking at. From there, you've got not only a standard mod that comes on it for your speeds, they're including the speed mods with every bow. So if you want to swap this bow over and get a few feet per second out of it, basically about 5 feet per second, you're going to be able to do that because you don't have to buy an extra set of mods with these new bows. You can just swap those out and gain that extra speed. Now the other two big changes on these bows is the perfect timing system and the perfect tuning system. That's what they're being called by Darton. You're going to have the ability to not only time this bow with this new yoke system, you can get in there and adjust that. Any twist that you want to put into the cable, you're not limited to a half twist or a full twist to get the timing perfect. You can actually do an eighth or a quarter of a twist with this new setup. We'll look at some of that here in a little bit to show it to you, but that's going to be a feature that allows you to get a 1 or more degree of change out of your timing just by changing this on the line with a simple Allen wrench. No press needed. You just twist that, loosen the screw up, put it where it needs to be to gain that timing, and then tighten that right back down and you're ready to go. Now from that, you also have that perfect tuning system. So as we've seen with some other manufacturers, they've made it easier to get that paper tear out, to get that cam to shift, and Darton has done it a little differently than everybody else. They have got a screw here at the base of the limb pockets. You can take that screw, move that from left to right, top and bottom, and then put pressure on those limbs to change the pitch of that cam without having to change out shims. Now if you've got a basic half to maybe 3/4 of an inch tear, you're going to be able to take that out on the line by tightening this up, pressing on that limb pocket, and changing the pressure on those limbs from one side to the other to take those tears out. Now if you do have a huge tear and you've got some really grip issues, or maybe just a bad arrow spine or whatever you're trying to get worked out of it, start there. But if you still can't get that huge tear out, you're probably still going to have to shim a little bit to get it in the proper position. But if you just got a normal tear like most people do, you could adjust this right on the line, simple and easy with an Allen wrench, and get that perfect tune on your bow. The other upgrade for this cam system is they have gone to threaded axles for this year. So no more E-clips popping out on the floor as you're changing things out. Simple Allen head there, button head screw, slide those axles in and out if you do need to make changes, but it also just gives you a better overall axle that's going to wear better and work better throughout time. Now some of the other features they've done on this bow, they have done the integrated rest system. So they've got not only your QAD dovetail on the back, they've also got the Hamskea core system drilled in there as well. So pretty much any integrated rest that you want to put on this bow, you're going to be able to attach right to the back of the riser. And of course it keeps with the standard mounting hardware as well if you want to mount up any other rest that you've had. As far as the sights, they did not go to an integrated pick mount on the front of the sight bar. they kept with 2 mounting slots. So if you do need to move your sight down to gain a little more distance or whatever, you do have 2 options for mounting your sight on this bow, but it is still a conventional mounted sight. From there, you got your basic accessories on this bow and features with your string stop, a basic solid roller guard, 2 stabilizer spots front and back, and just an overall great look to this bow. They also put a machined grip on this bow. It's got a great feel to it, nice and thin. You're going to be a torque-free experience there when you're shooting this bow. Now, as we look at the color palette from Darton, they have always had a lot of color options on their bows. For the Sequel 35, you're going to see black limbs only, and you're going to be able to get the riser in a lot of different colors. So the riser is going to be available in a black, OD green, your flat dark earth, and gray for your solids. And then if you're looking for a camo color, you've got the King's XK7, the Ursi Emerge 2, Vuni, and then this new Folds of Honor in the multicam that we've got here as our demo bow. Now, as the Folds of Honor are part of this setup, if you are that former military or military guy that wants to support that in the Folds of Honor, there are proceeds from the purchase of the bow, also some proceeds that Darton is going to be using to give back to Folds of Honor for every purchase that is made. You're going to see more coordination and working with this group as time goes on out of Black Eagle as well as Darton. Now, as we look at the price point on the new 35, it's coming in where we're seeing most everybody else these days. $12.99 is going to be that MAP retail price on these bows, which, like we said, is going to be right there where the competition is at. So $1,300 for a 35-inch axle-to-axle all-machine bow with all these new features and tuning and timing makes it a great value on the market. It's going to be a really nice shooting bow for anybody that wants to get into a long axle-to-axle. Now, from here, we're going to step back to the lane, as we always do, shoot this bow over the chronograph, give you a breakdown from 350 out to a 500 grain arrow, as well as the noise rating on this bow. And as usual, we're going to be shooting it at 29-inch draw length, 70 pounds on that 85% let off. So we step back here to the lane, and we've got the new Sequel 35. We're going to shoot this over the chronograph, give you the breakdown on all the weights from 350 out to 500 grains, and then a breakdown of how this bow shoots, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the new features on this bow as well. So let's shoot this bow over the chronograph. As usual, we will be shooting it at 29-inch draw length, 70 pounds, and 85% let off. All right, so as we look at that standard mod that comes on it, so this is what's going to come from the factory on all their bows is their standard mod. The speeds we got out of this is at 350 grains, we got 312 feet per second. At a 400 grain arrow, we got 284. And then with a 450 grain arrow, we got 277. And a 500 grain arrow, we got 262. Now in comparison, on the charts, what they were supposed to get was an extra 5 feet per second for that speed mod, and we showed that to be true. So as we shot this bow on 350 grain arrow and put the speed mods, we swapped those out, real simple and easy without a press. We got 317 on the 350. On a 400 grain arrow, we got 289. And then at 450 grains, we got 281. And with a 500 grain arrow, we got 268. So we actually gained 6 feet per second as the arrow got a little heavier. So this bow's staying fairly efficient as we get to those heavy arrows. So overall, putting up some pretty nice numbers. We figure going to be within 5 or 7 feet per second of the actual advertised speeds on this bow if you bumped it out to 30 inches. So overall, real nice setup and getting some great speeds out of this bow. Now, as far as the noise rating on this bow, let's go ahead and grab that. We've got it at 94.4 decibels, which is a really nice quiet bow. And really, on a 35-inch axle-to-axle, you're going to expect to be a little quieter, obviously because you're just a little bit slower. But this bow is putting up some nice numbers as a hunting setup. Now, as far as the overall feel, that longer axle-to-axle bow, super smooth through the draw cycle. As you drop into it, even on the speed mods, it's really not a bad drop-off. The valley is a little short on this bow, so once you get it back there, you're going to have to stand on it a little bit. If you creep any, it does want to go. But, like I said, draw cycle, dropping into that back end, rock solid, and a really nice draw cycle coming back, good and smooth. So overall, this bow's got a great feel to it. Now, the aftershot, it is dead in the hand, as we would expect most everything these days, especially on flagship. So Darton has got that nailed down as well. That grip feels really nice in your hand. It's a grip that I enjoy to shoot, and I would definitely take a look at a 35-inch axle-to-axle if it was myself. This is going to be a real nice, great shooting bow. Now, as we take a look at some of this tuning systems, If you look here on the limb pockets, there's going to be a screw here on the top, and that's going to be the screw that's going to allow you to put pressure on the base of these limbs to be able to take that tune. We talked about it a little bit up front there, but if you take an Allen wrench, tighten that down, you're going to put pressure on these limbs, changing the pitch of that cam, and it's going to take that tear out and be able to get a perfect tune. Now, as far as your timing setup with that perfect timing, when you look at that timing screw right on top, if you just take an Allen wrench, you can get right inside there, loosen that up, and once you loosen that up, you're going to be able to pivot this bottom part of that yoke, and then you can put an eighth, quarter, full twist, whatever you're needing to do in that timing to get it to line up with those timing marks. Now, there's 2 sets of timing marks on every cam, a hunting timing mark and a target timing mark. It just depends on which bow it's on. Obviously, with all these sequels being a hunting setup, you're going to be able to use that to get right in the ballpark so you know where you need to be, and then you're going to have a visual indicator there to know if you're in time, even if you don't have a draw board. So as far as the features on this bow, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of nice setup that's going to make it really easy to tune, time, and get a perfect shot out of this bow every time without having to visit a press. You can do it right on the line. They've got a really nice system here, and it's a little different than what we've seen out of all the competition. So if you're looking for one of the new Darton sequels, give us a call here at Mike's Archery. Jump on the website because we can ship Darton bows to you, and pick one of these bows up so we can get it in your hands.